Welcome to the Junior Draft Club, everyone. My name is Leslie, and my co-host today is Junior Draft Club volunteer Mariana. Hi, Mariana.
Hi, everyone.
Mary Dagg, you're probably hearing Mary Dagg. She's joining us from the Toronto Zoo today for World Draft Day festivities. Hi, Mary.
Hi, everybody. It's pretty awesome here, I gotta tell you. It's fantastic. Can I show around a little bit, Leslie?
That'd be great. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, okay. So right now we've got all of our booths set up. And you can see we've got lots of people very excited about learning all about giraffes. So we've got a section by the Anne and Dagg Foundation and then also the Toronto Zoo. And there you can see Maggie, Junior Draft Club. She's our pro maker. She's making origami giraffes. And you can learn lots about all the various different animals that they have here. But the focus, of course, today is on the giraffe. So they've also got coloring tables that you can see. And then, of course, we've got the two giraffes.
Oh, nice.
So they're getting a nice treat for World Giraffe Day. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. If you're able to come out and join us, that'd be awesome.
Thanks, Mary. Happy World Draft Day. So thank you Mary, very much for joining us for a little bit there. We've been celebrating giraffes all week long through World Giraffe Week because one day is just not enough for us, especially for the tall giraffe. So we hope that you've been enjoying their activities on their website, giraffeweek.org, sorry, and also their social media because they've got activities and fun facts, so you can always go and check that out. I wanted to share with you something fun that I had come across because I'm always looking for neat, fun, creative giraffe projects. And so one thing I had seen was giraffe pancakes. And I don't know if you've seen those before or tried making them. So I'm going to share them with you. So here are the giraffe pancakes. And you know what? When I looked at it, I'm thinking that's pretty simple thing to do. It's just a matter of cutting the pancakes or shaping them in this way when you're cooking them in the pan. And then they've got some bananas for the eyes and the chocolate chips, and then raisins for the nostrils. And then it looks like either Nutella or some sort of chocolate spread on there for the ossicones and for the spots. So I just thought I'd share that with you, and maybe it'll inspire you to make something like that. And if you do, please share it with us because we'd love to see it. I'm sure they're delicious. Mariana, who's one of our members and one of our volunteers, and she's got a Kahoot for us. The theme for the Kahoot is based on giraffe breathing, which Dr. Fred Berkovich had talked to us about at our last get-together.
All right. Thank you, Leslie. I'm just gonna share my screen. And if you guys were here for not last month's meeting, but the one before that, we also did a Kahoot. So you have to have another device with you. So that way you can see the code I'll put up on the screen, and same with the questions. So it's a lot easier if you have a phone. And there'll be a code. You just go into kahoot.it and you can join the game. So you can scan the QR code that's at the top right over there, and it'll just send you to this.
Okay.
Perfect. So I'll start the game then. All right, let's see. So our first question is, why can't giraffes take deep breaths like humans? So we have a couple options. So their lungs are weak, their necks are too long, their ribs can't expand enough, or their heart beats too fast.
Hmm.
Let's see. Okay. All of you guys guessed it correctly. Good job. Those their ribs can't expand enough. So we have Addie in first place, Soumya in second, and Pen third. What special feature helps giraffes breathe efficiently? They have extra long nostrils, powerful chest muscles, stretchy lungs, or short windpipes. Let's see. It's powerful chest muscles. So this one, yeah, the answers were spread out a little bit, but it's interesting. It's powerful chest muscles. We have a little bit of movement there on the leaderboard. So the next question is, how long is a giraffe's neck? Is it about 6 feet, 3 feet, 9 feet, or about 12 feet? All right, let's see. So it's
Oh,
about 6 feet. So can you imagine a tall person is about 6 feet, so just their neck is 6 feet. All right, so movement there for 1, 2, 3, fourth and fifth place. Okay, what helps giraffes get enough oxygen to their brains? Multiple hearts, high blood pressure, thick blood, or extra lungs?
ooh, good question, Mariana. It'd be kind of neat if they had multiple hearts.
I know, it's interesting how some animals do. All right, so the answer was high blood pressure. And most of you got that right. Good job. All right, next question. We have, what is unique about a giraffe's lungs? Is it that they are located in their neck? They can hold their breath for hours? They are larger than humans, or they have more lobes than other animals?
Hmm.
So they are larger than humans, which makes sense. They're very big animals. All right, perfect. So we still have Soumya in first place, Addie moved up to second, and Leslie's in third. All right, next question. How does a giraffe's long neck affect its breathing? It requires more effort to breathe. It doesn't affect breathing. It makes breathing easier, or it allows them to breathe underwater. So it requires more effort to breathe. And if you think about it, because they're so tall, the oxygen circulating takes longer to do that whole process. All right, so movement. So MC is in third place now. Okay, the next one's a true or false question. A giraffe has 3 lungs. Is that true or false?
I love that photo of the giraffe. It's beautiful.
Isn't it very cute?
Yes.
Okay, so this is false. They have 2 lungs. All right, next question. We have 2 more left. What challenge do giraffes face when trying to breathe out strongly? They can't breathe out forcefully, they sneeze instead, their lungs collapse, or their breath gets stuck in their neck. So the answer is they can't breathe out forcefully. Oh, it says over here that Addie has a streak with 5 correct answers in a row. Good job, Addie. Okay, last question. Why is understanding giraffe breathing important? To help them run faster, to teach them tricks, to improve zoo designs, or to aid in their conservation? It's to aid in their conservation. All right, let's see the leaderboard now. Or the podium, I should say. So in third place, we have Penn. Second place is Addie. And in first place, we have Samya. Perfect. Good job, everybody. And runners up, we have MC in fourth and Leslie in fifth.
That was lots of fun.
Thank you for playing.
Thank you so much, Mariana.
So today, our guest speaker is Gemma Metcalf, and she will tell us all about her work with Okapi, also known as Forest Giraffe. Gemma is the section manager for the Hoofstock team at London Zoo. She leads a passionate team that cares for a diverse group of species, including giraffes, Okapi, babirusa, and camels. She has a particular passion for Okapi, the giraffe's only living relative, and has been working closely with them for the past 12 years. During her time at the zoo, she has been involved in breeding 3 calves and developing specialized training programs tailored to their needs. Welcome to the club, Gemma.
Thanks, Marina. I am really looking forward to talking to you today, and hopefully I'll be able to show you lots of different things that we do at the zoo, but also give you lots of information about the Okapi, and then you can ask me any questions you want afterwards.
Yes.
So this is not the one I was going to show you. Presentation that I did for a lot of other zookeepers on the training we do with our Okapi. So it's got lots of training things in it. So it's not what I was going to talk to you about, but we will just look at these pictures and I'll talk about Okapi. So we've got 3 Okapi at the zoo. So those are the 3 we've got. But Okapi are a really, really important species. So they are from the Ituri forest in the Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa. So like the giraffes, they're from Africa, but they're not from the same place. So they're from the Congo, which is the forest, which is obviously very different. So Okapi are the only living relative of the giraffe, and they separated from the giraffe tree about 16 million years ago. They had a common ancestor 16 million years ago. And at that point, the giraffe went to live in the savannah, and the relatives of the Okapi went to live in the rainforest, and they evolved differently. And you know this, you know that the giraffes evolved to have really long necks. Well, the Okapi evolved to get shorter. So they evolved and they got smaller, and their necks got smaller because I'll show you some more photos. They had to eat different food. So they browse, just like giraffes, they're browsers, but they eat from trees that are lower, much lower. And you know that giraffes got long, long necks so that they can eat from trees that are really, really tall and get the highest leaves. And the Okapi don't need to do that. So the Okapi eat from about 100 different species of browse, and they have a very different way of feeding. So they walk through the very, very dense forest. It's really dense. And they walk through and they will pick bits of leaves off 100 different species of tree. And we know that because we have seen in the what they do in the wild, and we've actually looked at an Okapi when it had died from the wild and done an autopsy on it and counted what it had in its stomach contents to find out what they ate, which helped us and how we look after the Okapi in zoos. It helped us work out what to feed them and what to do with them. So sorry, I know it's totally irrelevant, but these are all the different things that we do with our Okapi at the zoo. We do lots of different training with our Okapi to keep them nice and healthy. So you've got our female, which is Oni, our male, which is called Mazimu, and our last calf, who has actually moved on now. But this is Edie. And we do all this different training with our Okapi, and I don't think the videos are going to work, but this is what we call a target stick, and we get our Okapi, they actually have to lick it. So the Okapi, just like giraffes, have tongues that are about 30 centimeters long. And these tongues are prehensile, so they can use them, and they wrap them around the trees and the branches, just like giraffe do, and they rip the leaves off to eat their leaves, just like giraffe. And so we do lots of other species. When you're target training, you ask the animal to boop their nose on the target, and then they get a reward. With Okapi, because they're so different, we ask them to lick their target, and then they get a reward. So Oni has to lick her target and then she gets a treat. I don't think any of these are going to work either, which is frustrating. But basically, once we've target trained, that then allows us to do lots of other training. So we do hand injection training for their annual vaccinations. We do foot care training because they get cracks in their hooves like these. So we look after them. We do ultrasound training, and I'll show you a video about that in a minute. That's so we can see their calves. So you can just see the Okapi head in the top one and the body in the bottom one. So yeah, it's unfortunate we have not got the right presentation. Nothing works. And we can also do x-rays of their skull. So this is an Okapi's skull. If you can see all the teeth down the bottom and the teeth up the top. So this is when Oni actually had a tooth issue. And instead of doing a general anesthetic to try to work out, because that's very dangerous in Okapi, we actually trained her to stand for an x-ray. So we could find out what was wrong without having to put her under anesthetic. Which is really cool. We think we're probably one of the only collections that has ever trained their Okapi for x-rays. And also we're one of only a few collections that train their Okapi for ultrasounds as well. So there's only 194 Okapi in zoos worldwide. They're on the IUCN red list as endangered. And that's because in the forest where they come from, there's lots of mining. There's lots of hunting them for their skin. There's lots of deforestation due to human populations. But as well as that, there's also, unfortunately, a lot of war going on in the forest, which makes it very, very difficult to do conservation. And it makes it also very difficult for us to know how many Okapi are left. So we can only really work out how many are left by looking at their poo. So dedicated people go through the forest and see how many piles of poo that they can find. And from that, they can basically do a really guesstimated look at how many Okapi are left. So yes, there are hardly any left behind. So just like there's all the amazing work that the Dagg Foundation and lots of other people do, the Giraffe Conservation Foundation for giraffes, then we have the Okapi Conservation Project that does conservation work in the Congo with Okapi, but it is very, very dangerous, which makes conservation really difficult. So it's really, really vital that zoos like London Zoo and other zoos all around the world are part of international breeding programs. So that's why we look at ultrasounding our Okapi so that we can ensure they've got the best health and welfare while they're pregnant, because they can lose calves and we can lose adults during pregnancy. It's a really difficult time for them. So we do lots and lots of research in our collection so that we can really, really look after them. Yeah, so the Okapi was discovered in 1901 by actually someone who used to work for the ZSL, the Zoological Society of London, which is where I am. So he was a fellow here, Sir Harry Johnson, and so he actually discovered them. And 1901 is very, very late to have discovered such a large animal and bring them to everyone's knowledge. So we haven't had very long to care for them. We haven't had very long to look after them. We haven't had very long to research them. And because the forest is so dense, you can't see them. So they're the guys that work for the Okapi Conservation Project, most of them have never actually even seen an Okapi, ever. Because they only see them on camera traps. And we actually had some of them come over to the zoo, and it was actually the first time they'd ever seen an Okapi in real life, and they cried. It was a very poignant moment. So yeah, Okapi needs saving, just like the giraffe. Their numbers are going down, and we're not sure. The last population survey was done in 2015, because people haven't been able to get back into the forest since then. So ZSL has a 10-year plan to help work with the communities in the area to try and improve conservation strategies, but it's really, really, really difficult, just like the giraffe. So yeah, let me show you a couple of videos.
Their tongues are extremely long. They have the ability to lick their own eyes and ears, which is pretty cool. And it's what we call prehensile. So you'll notice as she's eating, she's sort of almost curling her tongue at the end. It's a really nice adaptation they share with their cousins, the giraffe. It allows them to be able to pick individual leaves off trees as they browse around, which works really, really well for these guys, as well as the giraffe. Their tongues are extremely long.
So I don't know if you saw in that very quick video, but you could see that target that I was explaining to you about. So that's the target stick, and that's what we use to train the Okapi and move them around and do all our ultrasounds. And you can see her using that prehensile tongue to lick it, and then she gets the reward from Becca. So I'll show you this next video. It's quite long, it's 5 minutes long, and it just goes through the whole process of when we did ultrasound training with Oni, our female, and it was actually back during COVID. So you'll see that we have to teach other zookeepers how to do the training while we're not with each other, because we had to split into 2 teams and we weren't allowed to see the other half of the team, and they'd never done it before. So in order to continue to monitor her pregnancy, we had to do it remotely. So it's just a nice story, and you'll see the training we do, and it talks a lot about Okapi. So hopefully you'll find it interesting. Hopefully it'll play from the beginning.
Baby. Baby quiet. Baby. We've seen it in her kick about here. I think she's pretty quite excited. She loves having a baby.
Excited as you are?
Possibly not as excited as you are. We're more excited, aren't we? I want a boy, Owen. I told you. Can we have a boy, please?
Gemma and Megan are taking care of Oni, a member of a rare and mysterious species that's been nicknamed the African unicorn.
Introducing Congo, one of the latest arrivals at the famous London Zoo.
The serene and gentle Okapi was first brought to the world's attention by one of London Zoo's fellows in 1901. They're believed to be one of the oldest surviving mammals on Earth, and there aren't many of them left.
So few members of the public know anything about Okapi. They come to the zoo and they're like, oh, what is that? I've never seen that before, ever. Yeah, it's a cross between a zebra and a deer, which drives us mad. And if we can shout about the Okapi to the public, and we can build up that momentum of people loving Okapi, like people love giraffes and elephants, hopefully we can get everyone on board to conserving them in the wild, hopefully. And nothing does that better than a baby Okapi.
Soon, Oni will need an important scan, but zoo quarantine rules mean her usual team can't be here.
Hopefully, the keepers that have never done it all before will all be amazing. Hi. Hey, hey, hey. Have you got a signal? I've got 4G.
Oni's pregnancy is important for the zoo and the endangered Okapi species, but her ultrasound is proving problematic. The zoo has split their staff into 2 teams to prevent the spread of the disease, but it means that the usual team isn't on hand to perform the scan.
It's good start. Hello?
The task now falls to a keeper who's never had the opportunity to scan an Okapi until now.
Team A, which are going to attempt to train Holly how to ultrasound scan Oni with the vet, but the vet also needs training, so he's going to be trained via the other vet from Whipsnade. All via video call on Microsoft Teams.
Aha, there we go. How you doing?
Oh, all right, how are you?
Yeah, we're good, thanks. Should we just talk through how I'm going to do it in your stead? What do you normally do?
To scan a pregnant Okapi, you need a generous quantity of lubrication.
The gel works really well on its own. You just have to put loads on. It's like in between her belly button and her nipples.
Prevent her wandering off by distracting her with tasty morsels.
Really ration the food. Like this
Teeny
tiny bread.
And to keep her still long enough for the vets to get all the measurements they need.
You could be stood there for like 45 minutes.
Just a couple of things to think about.
A few things to think about.
Questions?
Hopefully, Ollie will be able to do it. Ty will be able to teach Nick, the new vet, and we'll get them. We'll just be on the phone sharing. We'll be on the phone going, baby. We want to be able to build up a bigger population in zoos so that if anything was to happen, we can use that as a backup population. Yeah, come on then.
Oni is 10 months into a pregnancy that will last up to 16 months.
She's in a pretty good mood this morning. She let me pick up all of her feet for cleaning. I think it depends on what baby's doing. If baby's kept her up all night, then she's in a bit of a stroppy mood in the morning sometimes during foot care. Jess, do you want to try and get Gemma and Meg on Teams? Hello? Hello? Oh, look, she's rubbed against me.
To check that Oni's calf is healthy, Holly is about to put her newly learned Okapi ultrasound skills to the test, along with the zoo's chief vet, Nick.
Hey, Nick, you
Hey,
all
Nick.
right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
She's lubed up and ready to go.
Oh, brilliant. Right, so I think we're pretty much ready. Okay. Measurements.
It has a heartbeat, yeah.
So, yeah, so we know the calf is alive.
The calf is alive.
Really nice.
That's good.
Really nice rhythmic.
Can you tell if it's a girl or a boy at this stage?
Well, I think if we were really good and lucky, we might, but no, I can't. I'm sorry.
She's like, can I have a female baby?
Yeah, it's your baby in there. The baby. Oh. Hi, Gemma. It's all good. And the calf looks really healthy, so that's great. See the heart beating in here as it moves forward. Does that make sense? This is the heart beating near the front of the chest.
When the Okapi calf is born later this year, it will be another step towards the long-term protection of this rare species.
There you go. So that was just a really brief overview of something that we do that's pretty cool. So we've actually done a survey of all collections that hold Okapi in the world. And out of all the collections, there are only 3 that can ultrasound their Okapi to look at their fetuses, which is obviously a really tiny amount. And that means that we're working really hard to get lots of different measurements of the calves. We want to know their thoracic and measurements. We want to measure the heart. We want to measure their heads so that we can look for abnormalities in pregnancies, and so that we can also suggest how far along an Okapi is, because it's really hard to know whether an Okapi is actually pregnant or not. They don't show a lot of very obvious signs, so you tend to have to do a test with their urine, which is super expensive. So if we can teach other people to use ultrasound, then hopefully we'll know that our other Okapi are pregnant, and therefore we'll be able to change the way we look after them and hopefully have more healthy calves, which will help the population. So a lot of that's super important. Next time I can run up to the Okapi house. Is that'll make up for it?
Ah, yeah. Oh, that
Yeah?
would be great. Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna disappear from this screen then. So here is Zimu. Oh, we just oh, and Oni's coming running over to say hello as well.
Ah.
Hiya. Were you missing out? Did you have the fear of missing out? No. So this is Oni, our female, and this is Zimu, our male. And as you can see, they are gorgeous. So they've got these really big ears, huge ears, haven't you? And the males have the horns, the ossicones, just like the giraffe, but the females don't. Thank you, Oni. So the males have got them on their head, but unlike the giraffes, the females don't. Good boy, Zimu.
Right.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes? Good.
Yes.
Great. Zimu. And you can see, I'll try and turn my camera around because it would be a lot easier. You can see that they've got very stripy legs. So these stripes are individual to the Okapi. I'm going to wander off. Each Okapi has different stripes. And those stripes are really important. So they're important for the calves in the wild. They actually know who their mum is and they follow their mum because they follow those stripes. But also it's really, really good for camouflage. So those stripes, they really mimic the sun going through the trees. And it means that if you saw an Okapi out in the forest, you would struggle to see them because you would see their stripy legs and it would mimic the sunshine coming through the trees. Good boys, Zimu. They also love a scratch. You're always very itchy. Voice you move.
And how tall do they tend to grow to?
So the Okapi will grow to about 1.5 meters. The males are always smaller than the females, which is fairly abnormal and not like giraffes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all know that giraffes tend to grow, the males tend to grow much taller than the females. But with Okapi, the females are always taller than the males. So along that evolutionary line, that changed. But you can see it's just a bit smaller than my shoulder.
Yeah.
And Oni is a bit taller. She's going to come over and show you. But he's very inquisitive. Do you have any other questions about the Okapi?
Okay, so let's check to see here. Oh, sorry, Mariana, you were going to take care of the questions. Sorry about
No,
that.
that's totally fine. Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry,
I
if
was
I
just
jumped,
gonna
I jumped
say,
ahead.
that's completely fine. If anyone has any questions, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat or unmute. I see that Pen raised their hand. So go ahead, Pen.
All right, so I just
where is it? I was just wondering, since you said that the Okapi were just recently discovered in 1901, if you think there's any other species large species specifically, that we might not know about, but are still existing on the Earth.
Oh, great question. Great question. I think probably not. So now, just with all the different technology we have, we're a lot more likely to see if there was any larger species that we haven't seen. So the main time we see Okapi when they're out in the forest is we actually see them on camera traps. And they're caught on camera traps, not regularly, but fairly regularly. And I think we have so much technology and so many camera traps all over the world that we would probably have caught if there was a species that was as big as them. But who knows? I mean, it's definitely possible.
All right, thank you so much.
No worries. Say hello. Any other
McLaurin,
questions?
you have your hand up.
I was wondering, what's your favorite part about your job?
All about my job. That's tricky. I have so many favorite parts about my job. What's the favorite? I mean, I love Okapi for this reason, because they're stunning in every way. I guess I get a lot out of Oni, can we please? I get a lot out of seeing my staff succeed. So I manage quite a big team. My team do lots of really cool things, do lots of amazing training. And when they succeed, then that brings me a lot of joy. And I also get a lot out of teaching the public. So especially children, if I meet a excited young person and I can tell them all about Okapi and then they can leave feeling inspired about Okapi, then that's a pretty awesome thing. That's a pretty awesome part of my job. So yeah, if I can make someone's day and educate them about something they don't know, then I'm happy.
That's cool.
Right, they're also, I don't know if you can see my hands, but their coat is really, really oily. See, my hands are black. So they have a really oily, thick coat to keep them dry in the rainforest. So that allows the water to just wick off their skin, off their coats. But it means as soon as you touch them, you have really black hands. So you always know if someone's been anywhere near an Okapi because they're filthy.
I didn't know they did
Unlike
that.
the
That's
giraffe.
so interesting. Gemma, we have a question for you in the chat. Leo's asking, do they have any defenses? I'm assuming like against predators.
So no, not really. So giraffe are a prey species, and the biggest way of I guess protecting themselves is camouflage. So they blend into the forest as opposed to defending themselves in any other way, and they will run from predators and hide, as opposed to doing anything else. So no, they're not a flight species like giraffes. They won't, do any sort of confrontation towards a predator. They will run and they will hide and they will stay nice and still. And when they have calves, they actually park their calves in a nest. So I don't know if it's a bit like deer, who will put their deer in a safe space and then leave them there. The Okapi do the same thing. So not like giraffes at all in that respect, but they make them a little nest and they put their calves in the nest and then they'll leave them there. And they'll just come back to them in the evening and in the early morning to feed them and make sure they're okay, and then they'll go again. And they do that to protect their calves so that they almost lure predators away from them. So they won't go to the toilet near the calves, and they won't be eating near the calves. They will go make sure they're as far away from them during the day as possible to keep their calves safe. And the calves, to keep themselves safe, very handsome, Zimi. They also don't defecate for up to 30 days. So they don't go to the toilet for 30 days after they're born. And that's so that predators also can't get the scent of them. So they're very cool. They're very well adapted to living in the forest.
I've got a question for you, Gemma. Is with those ossicones, do they use them for anything then?
So the males a bit like giraffes. They don't neck swing like giraffes do, but they can use those ossicones for protection, and I don't want to use the word fighting, but the males will engage if there's a female that's in season and they're in the area, then two males, would argue that out. Otherwise, they use them for scent marking. So they'll rub their ossicones. You can see he's always really itchy. So he's got really itchy ossicones. So they'll rub them all up trees to like mark their territory almost, and they'll leave this really oily substance. My hands are getting really black now. They'll leave that all over the trees, and then if another male or a female comes past, then they know that he's there. They're not the nicest animals when they're breeding. So they actually use their ossicones to headbutt the females into doing what they want, basically standing in the right positions. And they can, if Oni comes back over, you'll see she's actually got scars on her side because they're quite persistent. So they use them for that as well.
Wow.
But somewhere along the line, that's why the females no longer have them, because the males really only use them. Very itchy. Boy. Yeah.
It appears they really enjoy to be touched.
So, we work really closely with our Okapi. We do a lot with them. As I've shown you, we do a lot of training. We do a lot of stuff with them with the public. So they're really used to us being here. They're very nosy. They're very inquisitive. Hello, Owen. And because of that, they've got very confident in having us around. So they're so used to us being here. But that means that we're able, sorry, that's very enthusiastic children. That means that we're able to do those cool things like ultrasounding, and we do blood draw training, which is great for genetic research. So we can take their blood and we can look after all their feet. So they will pick up their feet really happily. I don't know if I can show you holding my phone, but Oni will very happily pick up her toes. You can see her feet, which means we can make sure that they're really healthy, which is really important, especially when we want to breed them and have really healthy calves. But some places that have a calf work really close with them like we do, and others don't. So it's just, every collection is different, but we prefer to work like this with them so that we can ensure they've got the best care, and Oni does love a scratch.
We can see that's for sure. So in terms of the similarities between giraffe and Okapi, we've learned that their tongues are quite similar in terms of them being long and the color of them, the ears being quite large. Is there anything else that kind of connects them they both share?
So if you look at the Oni's skull, apart from the fact she doesn't have the ossicones, although you can still see where they were, you can still see like the nubbins here, which is the remnants of where the ossicones used to be. But the Okapi's skull is almost identical to a giraffe skull. Yes, even when it's over my head only. So they have the same jaw and they have the same teeth and they eat in exactly the same way. So they're actually, when you take the skin off, and I did have some photos of their skulls in my other presentation. If you put photos of their skulls, the giraffe is a little bit longer. So the Okapi one is a bit shorter, but apart from that, they're almost identical. And the rest of their skeleton, sorry, I've got Okapi hair up my nose, it's really itchy. The rest of their skeleton is also really similar. It's just shrunk. So you all know that the giraffe vertebrae got bigger and bigger, not more of them, just bigger. In the Okapi, they got smaller, but it's the same amount. So they still, if you stripped away the fact that they've got different coloured skin now, they look really similar under their skull. They also do the same cool things with their eyes, as I'm sure you know. Giraffe do. They have the same eyelashes to protect their eyes from all the trees that they eat. However, Okapi have a really cool thing where they can actually suck their eyeball almost into their eye to protect it and clean it. It's quite gross. I don't think they'll do it to show you, but when they can use their tongue to clean their eye, and when they do, you can almost see him doing it when I go to give it a scratch. But when they do use their tongue to clean their eye, they can literally move their eye out the way and then clean behind it and then put their eye back almost.
Wow.
Which is pretty funky. And when you see them do it, you can Google it. There are lots of photos. It's interesting because they just leave a pink kind of hole behind. You're going to do it for me? No. Can you clean your eyes so we can see? You can always see it moving when I touch it. But they've got such cool muscles, they can just move and clean. Oh, guys. They've also got exactly the same hooves. So their hooves are very, very similar. I'll go down here and see them. Do you see their hooves? So just like a giraffe, they've got 2 toes, 2 cloven hooves, and they're obviously a lot smaller, but apart from that, they're identical to a giraffe's hoof. So they've got lots of similarities. They're just very different colours and much smaller. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. So have you got any other questions?
I have a question, Gemma. So you said they know you really well, and I'm sure they recognize you and your team, but how do you introduce a new person? Is there like a process to that, or are they okay meeting new people?
Oh yeah, great. Great question. So they're quite good with everybody because they're so used to being around people. But they definitely know their keepers who they work with them a lot more. And we have a quite a rigid training program for new starters, new keepers. So they have to do a lot around Okapi behavior so that they know what Okapi are like and they can read them. So Okapi, they don't tend to kick, say like a horse, but they can be very flighty and they can sometimes throw their neck around and have a bit of a fun and then run around. So you need to know a lot about Okapi behavior before you work in with an Okapi. And we do a lot of training with our new zookeepers to make sure that they know about the individual animal, but also just about Okapi behavior in general before they then work in with them. They then work alongside a senior keeper that knows the Okapi very well for 3 months. And then during that time, they'll be signed off on Okapi behavior, Okapi, how to clean the exhibit, how to give them all their enrichment, all their food, and do all their training. And once the senior keeper thinks that they are getting on swimmingly with the Okapi, then they sign them off. And everyone has to be signed off on every species they work with. So then when they get signed off, then they're able to work with the Okapi on their own. So it's quite a long process. Sorry, you're really quiet on my phone, so I keep having to put you right to my ear so I can hear you.
Mariana, did you have any other questions?
I've gone inside.
Hold on. Let me think. Gemma, what's your favorite fun fact about Okapi?
My favourite fun fact about the Okapi, I'm going to get back outside, it's noisy in here. Come on, Moo. My favourite fun fact about the Okapi. Oh, there's so many facts, isn't there? I mean, the best fact is that they can clean their eyeballs out with their tongue. I mean, that's pretty impressive. There's not many species that can clean their eyes with their tongue. So I think that probably is the coolest one.
Yeah, I had no idea they did that. McLaren, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Gemma, what's like something about you that you haven't shared?
Oh, something about me that I
Like a
haven't
fun
shared.
fact about you.
Fact about me. I've been working with Oni, the female copy, and Zimu here for the last 12 years. So I've worked with them for quite a long time now. And I also work alongside, like we said earlier, 17 other species. I work very closely with the zebras and the giraffes. And another fun fact is I'm really into horses. I've got 2 horses at home. So I guess that's why I get on with the Okapi, because they're the same sort of size. And I love the zebras. What else? Another fun fact. I've also been and I've worked with Okapi in lots of places all over the world. So I've been to America a few times. I've worked in multiple different places, and I've also been to Australia a few times and Europe. So I've tried to learn as much as I can about the Okapi from as many different people as possible all over the world, so that we're looking after them as best as we possibly can, because you're very important. Yes. I know, I'm just following you around, aren't I? I'm sorry. Seema's like, why are you spending so much time in the paddock? Strange.
And then, Gemma, can you remind us when World Okapi Day is?
Yep, so World Okapi Day is on the 18th of October every year. And just like World Giraffe Day, we do all the same things, lots of celebration, lots of fun games. We hand out lots of stickers. We probably do all the same things that Mary's doing at Toronto for the giraffes.
So we've got to remember that World Okapi Day, October 18th. And I think one of the big things that I learned, and maybe everyone else learned as well, is how they are endangered as well, and that we need to share our knowledge with other people and spread the word, just like we do with giraffes.
Yeah, people are not so aware of Okapi. So everyone knows what a giraffe is. Obviously, they're so beautiful and so well known, but not many people know about Okapi. And there are also not that many places you can see them. So I don't know about everywhere, but there's only 4 places in the UK you can see an Okapi. And there's not that many places in Europe and America and further either. So for people to know about Okapi, we need to shout about them. We need to shout about the giraffe, the cousin of the giraffe, and tell them, because they're just as endangered and they need our help.
Yeah. Well, Gemma, thank you so much for your time today.
I'll probably leave you to it and go and wash my filthy hands.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Gemma.
So nice to meet you guys.
Thanks, Gemma.
Thank you.
Before we go, I just want to mention that actually in London, so this really ties in nicely with having talked with Gemma today too, is there's an immersive exhibit called Our Story with David Attenborough at the Natural History Museum in London, England. And it actually opened already. I think that was the 19th. And Anne Dagg is part of it. And it's her original film footage from her trip in 1956 when she went at the age of 23 to South Africa to do her giraffe research. And so, for anyone that's in London or going to be in London, we really encourage you to check it out. And I'll put the link in the chat. We're hoping that we can share, since we're not there, some images from it or even a little bit of video at some point. So we're just waiting on that. And then we just want to say thank you to everyone today for being here, whether it's our speaker, our volunteers, our facilitators, and of course, you guys as our members. We just want to thank you for taking the time to be with us and for participating and sharing your questions. That's the best way for all of us to be able to learn. I know that I learn something new every time that we get together. So we're going to be taking a few months off. So July and August, there won't be any get-togethers, but then we'll be meeting again on Saturday, September 20th. So we really hope that you'll enjoy your July and August and that you'll meet back up with us in September. And Mariana, I think you've got something to share
Yes.
with us.
Thank you, Leslie. So one last thing before we go, we'll do our official Junior Giraffe Club sign off. We can all unmute and say one of Anne's favorite sayings, "Long live giraffes." So make sure everyone please unmute and I'll count us down. All right. Okay, ready? Don't forget to unmute. 3, 2, 1.
Long live giraffes.
Giraffes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Remember.